Hello. Right, I've spent more time trying to get my hair to look normal than I have to preparing for this live stream. So I'm sure everything will go just great, given the state of this. Very exciting, slightly alternative live stream today because we're going to be looking at a feature that doesn't yet exist in your accounts. Oh, but by jingo it will. And I wanted to show you before it's, even ready to go live because it's that exciting. I want to solicit feedback and I want to show you what will be coming that you yourself will be able to use in short order. And it's just going to be a step change. I think it's going to be a step change of improvement for being able to do things with your data. So exciting times, I think we can all agree. Let me start clicking around the system and we can get to it. I am slightly tempted though, just to ease our way into it and show you a quick Data Studio thing. And that's because I've come to the home page and we can see a non-cat related thing on the home page here, can't we? Some silly work title, which I copied straight from Amazon in a minor fit of pique, because Amazon are going to be restricting the title length for certain products within their systems quite soon. I think books are excluded. I think this may be nothing to get worried about. But that depends whether Amazon counts books as being in the media category or not. I'm sure you'll know better than me. I think it's excluded. But let's use it as an excuse anyway to have a look how you can find all of the products within your account that have got a product title that is longer than 75 characters. And like I say, when I was testing this out, I went to Amazon to find one of their own publications, which of course has a title longer than 75 characters, and popped it in so we can see what we're doing. So let's do that first and then I'll start waving my arms around about this exciting new thing. So here we are on Data Studio, foreshadowing, pre-warnings of the exciting thing yet to come. Let's do a new search and let's do this. We're going to say product title, and then we're going to use one of these very exciting pattern matching capabilities. Match is case insensitive pattern, and then you need to know your regular expressions for this, but I'll throw you a bone and show you anyway. Been here before. Dot means any character. Let's put a couple of squiggles in. Oh, this is so tiny. Hang on. I've done a dot, I've done a couple of squiggles. I'm typing the number 75 because that is the number of characters that we want to find. And if I put a comma after 75, that's going to say find all of the products where the title has got any characters up to the count of beyond the count of 75. You'll just have to trust me, I think, that that's how it works. Or look up regular expressions on the internet. And then we press search, and then sure enough we get that one product listed back here. So who knows, the Amazon thing may not be a pressing, urgent thing at the moment, but what a great excuse to have a look at some regex in Consonance, isn't it? Great, so warm up over, on with the main event. The thing I want to show you, we just saw a tiny glimpse of a moment ago on the Data Studio dashboard. Now, bear in mind, this is my local machine. You can see it says local at the top there. This isn't on your accounts yet, but it's coming quite soon. And the too long didn't read is that you're going to be able to write your own HTML and CSS and emit those codes in a document to your specification. What I want to think is it's kind of like a mail merge, where you type a lot of words into Word, and then every now and again you insert a bit of data. I mean, it's sort of markup generally, isn't it? That there's a bunch of text and then every now and again there's some data inserted. And now we're going to be able to do that within the Consonance interface. So all of these times we've been talking about advanced information sheets, and we've been generating PDFs from within the system, and we've been, building up those templates. It's sort of like a bit of an evolution of that. As I say, it's not live yet, it's not finished yet, it's not through QA or anything, really early days. But I want to show you as soon as possible so that you can start thinking, right, well, that unblocks me on X, Y, and Z. Or, I wonder if it can do thing, and thing. So get in touch if this is exciting. So where should we start? We'll start on the main menu. And we will have, this will all have to be in like the future conditional, won't it? We will have a new option on here in Data Exchange called Document Templates. And you will go to a new page, and this is an index page, and we've got a library of examples tucked in here, because it's going to be one of those features where I think people are going to really benefit from, rather than the blank page, being able to see something a little bit more start of a 10-ish. And I've been noodling this week with some ideas here. I won't jump straight to the library of examples. Let's create a blank document template. The idea here is that we're going to build up a template, then we're going to be able to use it in Data Studio, just like we do with the advanced information sheets. So let's hit Add New. Every time I hit a button, I'm going to be thinking, I hope we finish that bit. So this will suddenly, if red starts coming down the page, then, it really is work in progress. Okay, but here's our new template, and I'm going to call it Livestream, live coding, everything's fine. At the moment, we've set it up so that this can be based on a work or a contact. Sometimes you might want to have like a sort of an author card or a snippet that goes on an author's website that says some interesting things where the data is held in Consonance. We'll stick for work for the moment. And then we've got two types of format. We can either have text or we can have HTML. And in previous live streams, I've started to, we've had a little look last week, didn't we, at text and how that might look. I'm thinking creating printer orders is quite good, or maybe the title verso page that you're then going to style later, something like that. And then we've also got the option to choose an example to kind of like grist to the mill, something to be looking at whilst we're building up our template, so that we're not just having to imagine what it would look like. And I'm going to choose Cats Throughout History, because why not? I'm going to keep it as text for the moment, just so that we can ease into this gently. So I save this, and then I've got a code editor here, and nothing is in the code editor yet, so there's nothing to preview. But if I type hello world imaginatively, then hello world will appear over on the right here, and it's in plain text, and I can copy that to the clipboard, and I can walk off and do whatever I want to do. Fine. But let's now change this to be the type of template that is HTML. I press save. I've still only typed text into the code editor here, and I do have some text appear here. It's the world's most unstyled, unimaginative, undynamic website we're looking at here. It's in the serif font that is the well-known default for if all of your style sheets fall away on any website. But this is the sort of thing that we're going to be working up today. If I right mouse, actually, if you're ever familiar with having a poke around other people's websites, which is one of my favourite hobbies, if we right mouse and inspect this preview area here, we will see that the area within this box is its own HTML document. We've got an iframe at the moment. That might change. So what we're doing is we're building a website, and we're going to be able to see it within Consonance. Now, there aren't any buttons at the moment yet to export this to useful formats. That will be coming, when we're past this next iteration. But if you've got an HTML website, set of files that is a website, you can transform that into different formats. So the obvious one is PDF that we're thinking of. There's also the docx format, which Word will open in. So have a think about any other formats that you would find useful, and we'll make sure that we build that into our plans. I have a lofty idea to be able to type LaTeX into here and then to emit it as an EPUB file, as a PDF, transform it to an EPUB file, something along those lines. But file formats that's a solved problem. So what we're going to focus on today is building the document such that it can be rendered in HTML, styled with CSS, and then we'll worry about actually getting it out in useful formats, knowing that won't be too much of a technical impediment in the year 2026. So let's get rid of our hello world. That's not interesting. Let us have a think about a really useful type of document that publishers enjoy producing and have got a history of being painful to produce. How can we make things better? And what I'm going to do is build a website, build a web page. It's going to appear over here on the right. And it's going to use, this is going to date me horribly. Does the phrase Holy Grail layout mean anything to you? If you were around in the, any time in the last 20 years, noodling on the internet, you would be trying to get the flipping browsers to do what you wanted. These days it's actually an incredible time. Browsers are fantastically well developed. The HTML and CSS people have worked so hard to make some really robust tools for us to use. And so it's actually quite straightforward to put together a responsive, accessible web page. But back in the olden days, you had to use all sorts of ridiculous hacks. And so if you go to, if you search on the internet for Holy Grail layout CSS, you'll find all sorts of, times where people were trying to get this layout to work, depending on, how far back in time you go. And what the Holy Grail website layout is, it's a header at the top of the page, 3 columns, and a footer at the bottom of the page. Let's go to CSS tricks. There you go. It's this sort of thing. If I can get my hands to work. Oh, come on, hands. There we go. So we've got a header at the top, 3 columns, perhaps a nav over the top of the second column, and the footer. How do you do that? How do you lay that sort of page out? That was the unsolved problem, and that's what we're going to do today, because if you look at it sideways enough, this looks a lot to me like the layout of an advanced information sheet. So that is what we're going to be building today. So we'll have the header, we'll have a column here that we'll call something, a footer to put our contact information in, so on and so forth. And so I'm just going to start typing that code into our code editor. So we'll miss out the header part of the web page. We'll focus just on the important bits that we're caring about at the moment. We're going to create the body of our page. Now in this editor that we've got in Consonance, this is Consonance, I've just made it big so that we can see what we're doing, hopefully. We've got a text editor, and that's going to give us some helping hands so that when we start typing, some helpful words are going to appear. I've been using it all week, and it strikes a really good balance. It's not. Sometimes with these code editors, they get in the way more than they help. And you type a dot and 700 options for what to do next appear, and it's like, just let me type my dot and leave me alone. But it's proving to be quite well. I'm finding it quite good. Again, very keen to hear what you think in the fullness of time. So we've got a body, so that's the body of the web page, and then we're going to have a header, spelt correctly, obviously. So I've typed the word header. My code editor here has said, sure, header seems good. I'm going to close my angle brackets. and it's going to close my tag for me. Do you remember how XML works and how HTML works? Do you remember that it's a little bit like that description for how you do speeches? You know, that the advice is tell them what you're going to say, tell them what you told them. And that, in a nutshell, is how HTML works and XML works. Tell them what you're going to tell them. This is a header. Tell them, hello, this is a header. Tell them what you told them. I'm done talking about headers. So if I save this now, and I make this small again, we have got the words, hello, this is a header. But we don't have the words body, and we don't have the word header in angle brackets, and we don't have the closing tag, because that's the markup, and this is the rendered content. If you're lost, I would, with what I'm saying so far, all we've talked about so far is HTML. And I would so strongly recommend the MDN docs written by the people behind the Firefox browser. They have some really sort of generous and well-written documentation and guides to starting to grapple with this idea of HTML and CSS. So I won't belabor too much, because I can't teach you how to do HTML and CSS from scratch in the next 45 minutes. But if you've got a passing understanding of what we're talking about, then this is for you at this moment. So we've put in a header. We're also now going to put in the kind of the main part of this page. And sure enough, we're going to use the word main. What we're writing here is like semantic markup. The words I've used so far are English language words, aren't they? The body, the header, the main bit. What we're not doing is like typing random gobbledygook like XC, and it's all like, too computery, what's going on? If we use the tags that have been made available to us by the wonderful people who design the internet, then both computers and people will be able to understand the code that we're writing. And it just, it makes things ever more joyful, doesn't it? So we have a main section, and within that main section, let's have our nav, which again is a normal word. Let's also have a article, middle bit. That's where the blurb will go, and the about the author, I guess. And let's also have an aside, just to show that we've got 3 different columns going on there. So this is looking like an okay layout so far. We've got our body, we've got header, we've got a main, and let's pop in a footer as well, and then we have our magical holy grail layout. If us in 1999 could see us now thinking, it's all come good in certain aspects of life. So that's our markup. Let's press save again. Let's see how far we've got, because we've done lots there, haven't we? Oh, nothing in the preview, and that's because we're focusing on the markup, not the content yet. So let's say, hello, this is the nav, this is the nav, and then, this is the article, and the aside can be an aside. And we're going to be putting, and then our footer. We're going to be putting real words into this in the fullness, aren't we? But it doesn't hurt to just sort of see this gradual evolution of how the structure is going to take place. So we've got structure, we haven't got data, and we haven't got styling. Look, it's all in that serif font that we don't like. And it's all in one big line, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we were promised columns, were we not? So what we're going to do now is introduce some CSS, cascading style sheets. Best practice says that you separate your design from your markup. Otherwise you'll get into a right pickle and it'll all look horrible and messy and difficult to maintain and all sorts of reasons like that. So I'm going to introduce a new set of tags here, and they are called style. And I'm going to be able to reference my structure and say what style I want. So first of all, I shall say, okay, I'm going to style my body. I'm going to style my body. And the CSS syntax says you say what the thing is that you're styling. You do a couple of squiggles and you put your instructions within the squiggles. If I do background colour to start with, and I should be saying actually what I'm tipping into how to do CSS, but what I should be saying is, oh look, background colour is a useful thing that the Consonance code editor has just done. If I say that the background colour is red, what do we think is going to happen over on the right hand side here? Let's press save and find out. Actually, it's going to be so assaulting. Let's say seashell. That's a paley beigey colour. I wonder what will happen over on the right hand side. Press save. Hooray! The background colour of the body has now gone the colour of seashell. And it's filled that whole box because body starts there, finishes there, everything is within the body. Why don't we colour in some of these other areas and see and start to visualise how this thing is working out? So let's colour in the header. Bit of a space there. So I type header. I'm being helped, thanks code editor. I'm going to actually copy that, so I can copy within my code editor. See, I can do command and the left hand squiggle, is that key? To move the whole line backwards. Let's find another sea based colour, light sea green. Doesn't that sound nice? Sounds like a Cure song. And so now I have coloured in, rather unappealingly, the header in the colour light sea green. Let's carry on doing this and hopefully you'll be able to see what's going on. I can colour in the whole of main, which itself contains nav, article and aside. Colour that in with copy, paste, get rid of that. C, what was that one, light? This one's medium. Press save. And so the 1, 2, 3 sections there are all the same colour because I've coloured in the parent that contains everything there. Do you see main contains nav, article, aside. And that's why all of those are now coloured in. I can totally override this because that's the cascading in cascading style sheets. Let's just colour in the article. Should we go a bit yellow? I'm enjoying this C thing. Hang on, C. I don't know what sienna is. I think it might be brown. Let's do article as brown. Yeah. So now we've overridden just the article bit, and we'll leave footer because you're getting the gist of that. So this is how we're going to be able to work through this document, controlling the structure and controlling the style. You can do anything that you want here. It's one of those awful things, isn't it? The only limit is your imagination. And you think, oh no, that's the most difficult bit. But we're going to persist. So I'm going to comment out. You can comment. Command and / is comment. My fingers tell me. Back to normal now. So, as you're working through this, designing your own layout, you can try some things and then comment them out, press save, see how it's going. But let's put some sort of organisation on the page here. I'm going to put those back. So then you're going to be able to see that at the moment, these stripes are going to go across the page. We want them to go into columns, except for the header. We don't want that. So let's style our body first of all. And we're going to say that the display of this body is flex and that the minimum height of this, body is 100 view height units. I wonder if I got that right. I know them as VH. Press save there. Great, looking good. But now the header and the main are both columns next to each other, and so is the footer. What's going on? So let's carry on. Let's say that the type of flex we want is auto there as well. Be quite nice. And then we want to say that the flex direction is going to be column. Great. So now we have got our, we've said we need a flexible box. I've got a really good article for you actually. We're using this CSS markup. So if you want to see what all of the options are for flex, then come to this page, like we were saying, and have a look. And then you can you can start playing around with what these instructions mean. Auto means it's going to auto size based on how much width you've got entirely. But you can do all sorts of things, and oh my word, the rabbit hole that you'll go down. I'm excited for you. But that's there's lots and lots of different options you can go for. So we'll leave body like that for the moment. We're going to leave header alone. Main is its own box. So what we're going to do in main is say again, it's a display flex box, and we want it to auto correct. So we're going to do flex auto, and we're going to say that the flex direction is it row, column? Let's try column, and we'll keep the background colour for the same at the moment. So we've got them kind of going the wrong way around, haven't we? So let's try row and see if that's a bit better. So now we're really starting to take shape. We've got the nav column on the left, we've got the article column in the middle, and then we've got a great big aside on the end there. So perhaps what we want to do is say that the flex is going to be 0, and then maybe 4M. Let's have a look. Looking okay, but we would much rather that this was a little bit more sensible like that. So let's take that off for the moment, leave it as flex auto, and then start fiddling around in a bit. So let's deal with this article bit in the middle. I think that the article bit is going to be where the majority of the text is, so we can style that separately and say that the flex basis is going to be not growing, not doing anything else, but we'll set it to 4M. That's far too small. What's 14M? That's a bit bigger. What's 24M? You see, this is starting to look a little bit like an AI, maybe, this sort of layout. I think I'm going to make the nav be a little bit wider as well, and the aside be a little bit not so wide. So nav, let's make that its own flexy thing and make it 0.012M and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's fine. And perhaps we might want to have like a pull quote or a little about the author or something in the aside. But for now, I think this is looking just fine. So let's start putting in some actual words and a little bit more useful styling. So instead of hello, this is a header, let's say advanced information sheet. Lovely. And now can you see, I'm going to have to choose better colours, that we've got advanced information sheet at the top there. Let us make that header look non-terrible. So that we can really start to see this taking shape. And one of the things I'm going to do is change the font. So for the whole document, I'm going to be able to say, let's say that the font family is sans serif. There's a really fun thing that I'm going to show you in a moment though. So sans serif is fine. Take off that background colour of seashell so that we can actually see it. Take off the header of background colour light sea green so we can actually see it. Starting to look a bit better. I want my header to be kind of twice or half the size again of the standard font. So let's say font size is going to be 1.5 M's. That's like a relative measure there. Starting to look a little bit plausible, but so squashed. What can we do about that? For the header, let's give it some padding. So we'll have 24 pixels at the top, nothing at the sides, and 24 pixels at the bottom. It goes kind of top, right, bottom, left, and that's like a shortcut. Top, right, and then it repeats itself if you don't specify any overrides. Oh, and now we have a lovely advanced info sheet, and we can pop maybe a nice line, because that often is the thing. So border bottom, 2 pixels solid. Let's give it a grey. Hit save on that. It hasn't really come up. So let's get rid of the background colours, which are offending mine eye, and then we've got a bit of a lovely line happening there. Still looking a bit squishy, isn't it? So let's crack on with some of the other information. Right, one thing I want to show you is inserting images. Now, we're building a website, and last time I looked on the internet, they love images. They love them, can't get enough. So I got an image set up earlier. This is an image from Unsplash, and I'm going to copy that URL, and I'm going to go back here, and we're going to place that image into our website, our web page, and then we're going to style it and see how it looks. So cover images often go sort of at the top of the navigation bar, I guess, here. So I'm going to get rid of hello, this is the nav. And I'm going to do a new tag called image. Thank you, text editor, for helping me. Image source equals 2 inverted commas. Close that tag like that. It's like a self-closing tag, and I'm going to place the URL inside of those inverted commas there. When I press save, it's going to come up really big, isn't it, on the right hand side, because we haven't put any styling in yet. So don't worry when you press save and it comes up really big. This is one of the fun things about web design. I always think, you just keep going. It's like tidying up the kitchen. Sometimes it has to get a lot worse before it gets better. So here we are with all of our stuff out on the table, but it's okay because there's no deadline. No one's going to shout at us. We're just going to keep chipping away until it's done. So I'm going to add in a new bit of styling in my style bit. Image. Oftentimes you would put a class on these HTML elements, wouldn't you? And you would style up those classes. But we're living in a very simple world today where we can just style up every image tag within the whole web page. So the image, let's say that the width is 100 pixels. What will that look like? Oh, it's so tiny. Adorable. And then we can fiddle, let's say it's 160 pixels. What will that look like? Oh yes, nice. I don't like it crashing into that line at the top there. So what can we do about that? Let's give it some padding at the top. I'm still quite old-fashioned, and I have to update my brain to use logical commands here. I'm saying padding top. What's the modern one? Padding block start or something? You'll have to write in and tell me. But Linter will update your old-fashioned syntax like that. Let's give it 12 pixel padding top, and then we've got that 12 pixel padding top at the top there. So do you see what I mean? You just you keep going. You keep thinking, I don't like that. Like, I don't like this really mean gutter around the edge. What can we do about that? Well, here's our main box. Body is the wrapper for everything. So we can put an overall padding around all of the body, can't we? So padding all the way around, no top, no bottom, no anything. Give it 24 pixels. What will that look like? Oh yeah, you see, that's a lot better. A bit of breathing space. Yes, so all good so far. Let's start putting in some of your data, because with these sorts of things, time is just going to pass, isn't it? So instead of saying, ooh, this is the article, why don't we put the work title in on this bit? So I could say Narnia, couldn't I? I could type the word Narnia, and I'm publishing 800 products this year, and I could type 800 different titles into my Word documents, and I could wonder what I'm doing with my life. But no, we're going to use data tags, aren't we? So that we can use this same layout and automatically generate different words. I'm just going to add in some padding because that's going to drive me to distraction, having Narnia squished up at our border there. So that's main. Let's pop in padding top 12 pixels, press save. It's a little bit better. 24 pixels will be a little bit less irritating, won't it? Great. Okay, so was that on? That was on main. That means I can get rid of the padding top on image, doesn't it? Yeah, that's better. Right, so we're not going to just type in every single title. That would be absolutely insufferable. We are going to use data tags. So next chapter of this learning. Have a look at the top of this text editor entry here. We've got a couple of buttons. We've got a guide and we've got a data reference. And if I open up the data reference, you're going to start to see some of the data tags, and there's quite a lot already, some of the data tags that you're going to be able to use to build the documents that you want to use, that you want to build. So let's have a look at work. So we've got a bunch of different properties. One of them is called products, and that's an array of things. So that's all of the products within a work. Just like in Consonance, if you've been using Consonance at all, there won't be anything that's particularly startling here. You know, the idea of a work having a title. Fine. So let's use this work title, and it says it's the work's title, excluding the subtitle. That sounds like just the sort of thing we're after. So instead of this hard-coded Narnia, let's use work.title. Let's say work.title. Now, what do we think that is going to do? Press save. I'll get rid of my extensive documentation. Yeah, you see what it's done? It's literally put in work.title. What we have to do when we're inserting these data tags is say, this is a data tag, interpret this bit differently. It's not just like the words advanced information sheet that we typed in there. We're using the tags that Consonance has now. And the way to do that is to use two curly braces. So it's the shift key and it's the curly brace key that's next to P on my laptop keyboard. So curly, and as you'd expect, or maybe you wouldn't, but that's what you have to do anyway, close that with two more curlies. So we've got curly, work.title, because that's to say this is the work's title, and then close the curlies. Let's hit save and watch over on the right hand side and see what happens. Will exciting things happen? Yes, they will, because magically Cats Throughout History, the word, has appeared. Why Cats Throughout History? Remember that we said demo work, Cats Throughout History. So that's where it's come from. So just that alone gets me excited, because with my programmer's brain on, I think if I can get Cats Throughout History to appear, I can get every single one of the other 30,000 works in my account to appear in exactly the same way. I design it once and the job's done. And, you know, again, nothing different here really to what you've been doing for years and years in generating advanced information sheets using a PDF. But you are so much more in control. I mean, this may just be a curiosity, all of this web design stuff. But HTML and CSS are profoundly normal out there on the internet. And if you've ever commissioned a website to be designed, or if you know HTML and CSS yourself, then this is fantastic. But you're going to be able to find someone on the team or somebody within your network of contacts who's going to be able to help you construct exactly what you want without having to get it set up and hard-coded within Consonance or anything. So let's carry on. Let's do a few more things and see where we end up. We've got another 20 minutes. I've got a hard stop at 3 because I've got meetings all afternoon. So we'll get as far as we're going to get. A couple of things I wanted to show you. Do you remember when we were talking about advanced information sheets and PDFs and generating them from the marketing materials area? I said there's loads of text styles. Can't say that word. Text styles. And we've got various different font faces that you can use. Let's go and have a look actually. How do I open this without changing the page? Oh no, we go to settings. So let's go to settings, just open a new tab so that we can see this sort of thing. So these text styles, there's different fonts that we can use. Noto Sans, you've got Gotham Narrow. These are all, well, the vast majority are Google fonts. What's this nice serify one? This one is Crimson Text, looking very fancy. Noto Sans is a good one. It's got a lot of different special characters in. So if you're ever doing like diacritics and needing particular things, then that's great. Montserrat is a lovely font as well. All of these fonts are going to be available, when you specify them in this CSS. So let's do that instead of just a boring sans serif. That can be the fallback. But let's do Montserrat, and press save, and actually spell it right, because it has to be like that, Montserrat. And that is Montserrat. Let me do Noto Sans. Noto Sans. I mean, it's subtle, isn't it? But that's the Noto Sans typeface. Let's find one that's actually quite Noto Sans. Mooley Light comes out quite nice. Let's do Mooley Light. Save that. Oh look, I can duplicate a line. Shift Command down. Oh no. Shift Option down. You see, your fingers know, don't they? But so Shift Option and the down arrow duplicates the line. Command and / uncomments the line. And we were going to do Mooley Sans. Was it Sans? No, it wasn't. Mooley Light. Mooley Light. Press save, and there it's all delicate and light and everything. So, you know, if you've been happily using one of the fonts that's been made available on the other advanced information creation area, then there's nice continuity there. Let's get rid of that aside from now, because that's not helping us. So that's Cat's Art History. That's looking a little bit small, isn't it? So we can, you know, now we've got our basic structure in place, we can just start following our nose and thinking, well, I'd like that work title to be a little bit bigger, but I don't want all of the text on the whole sheet to go a little bit bigger. So how do I change just this bit? Well, we add in more markup. So over on this side, we can try using semantic markup to start with. Let's try H1. Look at me using the text editor to get it all to go around. Lovely. So let's press save there, and H1 on the kind of built-in style sheet, that's always going to render a bit bigger. We can totally style it if we want. Let's go up to our styling area, scrolly down here a little bit. Let's style H1 to be a lovely shade of green. Today's the day for green. So H1, colour, green. We're looking at Cat's Art History changing to green. It's changed to green. The system works. Now let's put in some verbiage underneath, because normally at this point we put in key selling points, maybe the short description, maybe the table of contents, maybe some reviews. All of those things are marketing texts, aren't they? You know, back in, because I know that you'll be thinking, what's she talking about now? You've got to hold in your head how Consonance works. You've got to hold in your head how HTML and CSS works. And then you can merge them together in a delightful cauldron of wonder. So we're going to do our first for loop. So before I go on about this too much, later on, the docs that you want to be looking at are called Liquid. It's a library that Shopify, the place, invented. It's really well supported. If you've got a Shopify site, then you'll be extremely familiar with how all of this works. Or maybe you won't be. Well, you should. It'll be fun to have a look anyway. So I'm just going to use some kind of literal tags today, but I'm also going to introduce this for loop. So I can say, what I'm going to say is, for all of the marketing texts on this work, print out the external text. So this is how we're going to do it. Let's go zoomy in so we can see what we're doing. So I'm not going to use double squiggles, because if I do that, as we've seen, it's going to try and print it on the page. And this is more like a command. We don't want to print the fact that we're looping through some data on the page. That would be ugly. So instead of 2 double squiggles, we're going to use a squiggle and a percentage sign. Squiggle, percentage sign, squiggle. The stuff that's within that is going to be our command. And it's a little bit Englishy, but if you don't get the words exactly right, it's going to break. So, I mean, that's programming, isn't it? So picky. Anyway, we're going to type for, and our code editor is going to help us, for marketing text, so that's the individual marketing text, in work.marketing texts. So that's going to get each marketing text within the work.marketing texts. And before I do anything with that, I'm just going to close that tag because that's going to cause an error otherwise. So again, closing off this loop, same sort of thing. I do a squiggle and a percentage sign, close that with a percentage sign and a squiggle, and within that the command is end for. In Ruby, the syntax would be different. In Python, which you might have come across, I don't know actually, might be the same, might be similar. It's flavors, isn't it? Within every programming, markupping, templating language, they kind of all do the same thing, but the syntax is going to be a bit different. But this is Liquid, this is how this works. So we've got our loop, and within this loop, we're going to be able to use our double squiggles again. Now we've got this marketing text within scope. So we're going to be able to say marketing text dot pull quote. How do I know that work has got marketing texts as a thing that it can iterate through? And how do I know that marketing text has got pull quote as a thing that it can iterate through? It's in the data reference. So click on that. Let's go to marketing texts. There we go. A marketing text has got a pull quote. Is that the thing I want? Let's have a look at the description. It's the external public-facing pull quote of the marketing text. Bingo, that's what we want. How did I know that work had marketing texts? Well, marketing text says that it's referenced by work.marketing texts. And if I scroll down and look at work, it will say that marketing texts is an array that work has got access to. So, you know, the docs are going to be your friend. There's a filter at the top. I'm going to try and have a kind of an index contents page thing as well at the top of it. But this bit of it is code that the Consonance team have written to expose the data that we want to expose so that you can use it. The squiggles and the percentage signs and the HTML and things over here, that's kind of normal internet language. So again, bit of a merging of concepts going on here. But let's press save and see if our writing has worked here. It won't work if there are no marketing texts on Cats Throughout History, because what is there to loop through? So if you try this and you get a sort of a blank page and you're like, oh, well, it doesn't work for me, you always have to think, you know, what's going on? Read the error messages, read the sort of feedback of what you get. Anyway, I'm going to press save. We're going to look over on the right hand side here, see what happens. And as we know, because we've been here before, Cats Throughout History does have marketing texts. And look at this. We've iterated through them. I think that's the short description there. Then we've got the main description. You'll note that that's HTML and that's HTML markup. That's, I mean, actually, it's a terrible font. There's a very slight oblique on the word commonly. There's a very slight strong on the word valued there. And this word strong has got an oblique and it's slightly bolder than the others. So any HTML you've added within the metadata page, you're getting the most of it. That's not being like sort of printed out literally here. Then we've got the table of contents. Scrolling down, looks like then we've got the key selling points. Then we've got the biographical note, and then we've got the reviews. So, you know, we've got a really good set of all of the marketing texts there. As you would expect, there's a lot more that we can do on this because we probably only want to put one of the types of marketing text there. And so we'll get on in future weeks to look at filters. We'll look at some ways to just take the first item in a collection that we loop through. Shall we put the ISBNs on underneath here? Yeah, let's do that because it looks a bit weird otherwise, doesn't it? So within our nav, we've got a little bit of time. Let's do the same sort of thing. Let's loop through all of the products of this work and print out the ISBNs. So again, like a little bit of practice here. Squiggle, percentage sign. The code editor has closed off my tag there automatically for me to remind me not just to leave it. And we'll go for product, spelt right, in products, in work dot products. And then on the next line, we'll close that squiggly, and we'll say end for, so that we don't get ahead of ourselves, press save and think, oh, what's happened? I will introduce a deliberate syntax error in a moment, and we'll see what does actually happen. It's nothing frightening. So then we're going to go, let's do product.isbn.isbn13. Again, I know that I have to say what the format of the ISBN is that I want, because I've read the documentation, and not only read it, but like written it, so slight advantage there. So there's our two ISBN 13s. What if we want that to be a different format? Well, let's have a look at the documentation, shall we? Because who can read a big load of lines just like that? So I'll go to data reference. Let's type in ISBN 13. Oh, it's done it already. So ISBN, which is what we called on product, see, it's referenced by product. That's why we could say product.isbn. The ISBN object has got a bunch of different properties. One of them's ISBN with dashes, one of them's ISBN with non-break dashes, so it's not going to wrap annoyingly, or ISBN with non-break spaces, very nice. ISBN with spaces, but it will wrap. So all sorts of different things there. Let's just go ISBN with dashes. Pop that back into our text editor over here. So instead of product ISBN 13, let's put ISBN with dashes on the end. We know that's available because we've just looked in the docs. Press save, get rid of our help thing there, and now we've got ISBNs with dashes. So, you know, it's like, oh, now I can have what I want, and I don't have to, you know, phone someone or raise a support ticket or just live with dissatisfaction, or heavens forfend, emit something from a system and then edit it manually. That's not 2026, good Lord. So, you know, we've got, with a lot of discursive hand waving, we've got something that looks fairly plausible as a thing within short order. So well done us. Why don't we go over to Data Studio and see what the future holds for being able to emit these, not just one by one. So again, you know, really early days, but we are approaching 3 o'clock where I'll have to leave you. So let's go to Data Studio, and you'll see that we've got a new little section here called Document Templates. Lovely. We can click to see one of these existing ones, but let's do a brand new search. And let's say, show me all of the products where the title contains the word history. I mean, we can, no, okay, we'll do that. And then we're going to say, you know, generate the work level documents. So it's a new a new display on search within Data Studio. So we select that. And then we're going to choose the Livestream live coding template that we were working on. Let's click View Documents. We're going to be able to see our Cats Throughout History document. You know, there it was, coming along nicely. But that, you know, we've seen that already. What about Cats from History? So I click View, and there is, I mean, I did happen to duplicate the two things. Let's go to any old thing. So here's a whole big load of different ones. What about Cats in Space? So I click on Cats in Space. I mean, it's now copied from Wikipedia, but these are the different pieces of data for the different works. So, and you're not going to be constrained to having to wait for the browser page to load all of these. This is all taken kind of asynchronously. So whatever you choose, you're going to be able to, see it sort of generated dynamically. Lots more to come, as you can imagine. we're going to be, oh, I've clicked on cats in space now. We're going to be adding in a whole bunch of different buttons to download these things into different formats. We've got a load more properties to be adding into the mix. Let's go back to Data Studio so I can find my little search again. Hit the back button. Have you seen unsaved searches, by the way? This was the one I was just working on. I didn't save it. I just walked off, but we keep them accessible now. I'm sure you have anyway. Yeah, what I wanted to do was click on cats in space, see if that one is a good one. Yeah, all fine. And I've been working as well on some, what do you call them? Let's have a look at, like library of examples. So basic work example in HTML, basic work example in plain text, little reviews is quite nice, printer orders is quite nice. And I worked up an advanced information sheet as well. So the way to work these is you click on them and then you get, you get all of the stuff without having to type it yourself. So this is quite a nice layout as well, similar to what we've been doing today. But nothing, there's no constraint. You can do what you want with all of it. Just, start again or change the things that you want to change. So what I would like to do is ask two things. First of all, have you got any other text snippets or documents or other things that you have to handcraft that you would like us to build into this particular feature? Have you got any particular formats that you need? I mean, I know everyone's hopelessly hooked on Word, so that might be a good one, but let us know those sorts of things. Write in to support@consonance.app. And possibly most importantly, if you would like to have access to this feature to start noodling around, then let us know. As you can tell, it's really not ready for prime time yet. So it's not live, and it's going to be behind a feature flag. So we're talking about like early next week, where it might be available. But you have to let us know. We have to turn on your account to have it. It won't be like that in the future. Remember, everything we write is available to everyone for no extra money. This is just part of the development process. Whilst we're soliciting feedback and making sure that the code we're writing is the code that you want. So there we go. So I'll leave it there because it's coming up to 3:00 and I have to hop on a Zoom, as they say. But look forward to seeing you next week. No doubt, a week's a long time in web development, so there'll be more news then. Let us know on support, won't you, whether you want to play along. Great. Have a great week then. Happy publishing, and I shall see you on the other